I kind of started this mood reading vlog and then kind of forgot about it, but basically I got to like page 75-ish of Onyx Storm and I just was having the hardest time getting into it. I don't know what it was, but I've been seeing that I'm not like the only one feeling that way. I was so confused. Like, I felt like I was reading the first book of a series. Like, all of the names, like, she would say something and I didn't know if she was talking about a person, a place, or a dragon. I did not know. Like, I felt like there was just so much information happening all at once at the beginning. Like, I was so just, I felt very frazzled and just, I don't know. It was just weirdly confusing at the beginning, and I feel like you shouldn't be that confused going into a third book. Like, you already know the world, you should already be acquainted with the characters. Like, you shouldn't be confused about like the world and the characters going into book 3. And so I was just having such a hard time getting into it. And because of that, I decided to pick it up on audiobook because I ended up having like a free credit on my Audible. So I was like, you know what? Why not? I'm already 75 pages in. I don't want to soft DNF it and like have to restart it essentially. I'm very glad that I did. I'm enjoying it a lot more, and it's just been helping me like actually be able to get through the story. Honestly, if I was still reading it physically, I don't think I would be able to read it very fast, because Audible, obviously you can do other stuff, you can have it playing in the background, things like that, and like you can still get the full gist of the story and you're still like taking in that information. But I feel like with reading, you have to really focus and like be present in the story and like what you're reading about. And I don't think that this would have been able to keep my attention enough. So that's a little unfortunate. Am I glad that I still decided to like continue to read it, just do it on audiobook? Yes, because I do like the characters and I do like the story. My favorite thing about the world personally is like the lore of the dragons. Obviously I'm gonna keep it spoiler free, but just me personally, I'm not a huge fan of their romance in here. I know, sue me. But I love the history in this, and like just I'm fascinated with the history of the dragons and the lore and of people's powers and things like that. But I just feel like this has such middle book syndrome. It's supposed to be a 5-book series, so naturally there's gonna be a book that has to be a setup, an info dump, if you will, for the rest of the series. So we had the first 2, and then I feel like this has just such middle book syndrome. A lot of info dumping, and this is just my personal opinion, but I feel like for me, audiobooking it was the way to go. I did want to read it, and I didn't want myself to be put in a reading slump. I felt like if I just DNF'd it, I would get very, I don't know, just like I would feel bad. Does this make sense? I just feel like I would have put myself into a reading slump if I would have DNF'd this. So I'm glad I just like pushed through and did the Audible, and I am enjoying it on audiobook a lot, but I think overall this one is probably my least favorite book so far. Now that we're all caught up, I am doing this one on audiobook. I am on page 384, chapter 46. I have about this much left, so really not that much. I'll probably be able to finish it within the next couple days. I've been doing majority of my listening while I'm at work because I can work with my headphones in, so I should be able to finish this within the next couple days. Now to what I'm reading physically. Just to like get back in the groove of reading, I let myself just do the audiobook for a couple days to just, I don't know, because I felt like I was slipping into a slump a little bit, so I just wanted to not overwhelm myself. But now that I'm feeling a little bit better, I decided to pick up Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard. My original thoughts of wanting to read this was, well, one, it's a very infamous young adult dystopian fantasy series, and it has a lot of good reviews, and I've heard a lot of good things. Second of all, there's a lot of discourse on Book Talk and the book internet community about Reckless, or what is it called? Powerless? Reckless? Powerless. Powerless being like a copycat of this book, okay? And being a book person, I obviously don't feel good about recommending books that are plagiarism. I know, the P word. And I don't know what I'm talking about, okay? Don't come for me. But I just wanted to see, I had never read this book, so I just wanted to see for myself the similarities. Especially because I do work in a bookstore, I just want to be knowledgeable on those things. I haven't even started it yet, but looking at it now, the words are so big and it seems really short and pretty short chapters, which is really nice. I love that about young adult. So I think I'm gonna start this tonight. I'm also gonna do a buddy read with my coworker at the bookstore with this one because we're both, again, just very curious about the similarities because she also loved Powerless. So I just want to know what the haps is, what the tea is. We want to be in the know, okay? And I will check back in a little bit.
Cool. Yeah, some of those will be nice. Yeah.
Funny story, a couple updates. I actually ended up not reading Red Queen. I started it, I read like 2 chapters, then me and my coworker actually ended up deciding that we wanted to wait a little bit longer before reading it. So I started a different book, but before I get into that, I did finish Onyx Storm. Let's just say I'm happy to be done with it, okay? I feel like my opinions haven't really changed from the last time we talked about it. I didn't love it, okay? I'm not gonna say my rating because I do want to think on it a little bit longer, but I just felt like this book, there was too much info dumping. It was just boring. It felt like there was not a lot of point to a lot of things that were happening. It almost felt like she didn't even know what she wanted from this book. Maybe she knew like how she wanted it to end specifically. I don't know. But it didn't feel like she knew what she wanted this book to look like. And it was just so odd. It felt like I was reading a first book of a series. Like I was just confused most of the time. And I feel like on book 3 of a series, you shouldn't be confused. And I know it wasn't my fault because I read the first 2 books right before I picked this one up. So it's not like a time thing. I don't like being a negative Nancy, so I'm very sorry if you liked this book. It just did not hit for me. I don't know what it was. It just didn't hit. And you know what? Sometimes that's okay and that just happens and I'll leave it at that. Now onto a little bit more of a positive note. I ended up starting The Unmaking of June Farrow and I am 35 pages in, so I'm really not that far, but it's only like a 300-page book, which is really not that long. So hopefully I should be able to finish this pretty quickly. And I'm really liking it so far. It's honestly, I went into this pretty blind and I still am because I'm not that far into it. This is more of like a cozy fantasy, or not even necessarily a fantasy. I think it's more of like a magical realism fiction, I believe. But I am having so much fun. It's just very cozy, but there's also this element of mystery and like that you're trying to figure out, and there's obviously something spooky is going on in the background, and I'm really liking it. I am having a really good time and the vibes of this are really good. Not far enough into it yet to like have any really strong opinions, but the vibes are good. So that is all we can ask for at this early stages of a book. I've just heard really good things and I'm enjoying it so far, so I'm excited to see how it goes. next day and I'm on page 135. So I actually read quite a bit last night and I am having such a good time with this book. I feel like it is so different from anything I've ever read before. I feel like it's a risky move when you choose a book that like you don't normally read or gravitate towards, and when it pays off, it just feels so good. This is one of those books that like I am so glad I picked up because I've been wanting to read it for so long and I've been so curious about it, but it's not something that I usually read. And I am literally eating this up. I don't know what it is, but I am really, really loving it. The vibes are so good and so cozy. Today is another snow day for me. We are snowed in, so I didn't have to go to work today. And honestly, the vibes of the snow day, looking out my window right now, it's over there. The trees are just covered in snow and the roofs of all of the houses are just covered in snow. And it's so gorgeous while reading this. Is like the vibes are immaculate. I am having so much fun. While it's like very cozy and I'm really liking those vibes, there's also this very interesting element of like mystery. You're really trying to figure out like what the heck is going on. I have no idea how this is gonna end, which I am honestly really happy about. I can't really explain much because I want to keep this spoiler free obviously, but if you haven't picked up this book, I highly recommend it. I haven't finished it yet, so we'll see what my like complete thoughts are at the very end, but I am just having such a fun time with it and it's so good. We need a little midday coffee pick-me-up. So good. Little reading update. I'm on page 206. I have about 100 pages left, so I'm really hoping I'm going to be able to finish today. It's only 1:53, so yeah, I don't really have a lot of updates other than the fact that I'm having such a good time. I don't even know how to explain this book to someone if they were to ask me, other than just like reading the blurb. But it is so good. And just the magic that is in this book is like so interesting. It's not what I expected at all, and I am just having so much fun with it. I feel like because I went into it with zero expectations, I didn't really know what it was about, and I feel like that has really played to my advantage because I didn't have any expectations, and this is unlike anything I've read. Right now we're trying to figure out this specific thing of like why the main character did something. I can't really say much more. We're trying to figure something out right now, and I just have so many unanswered questions, but also the magic and like everything else, the vibes are just so fun, and I'm ready to just hunker down and finish this book. What's going on? I just finished The Unmaking of June Farrow and it was so good. Like seriously so good. What time is it? I don't know where my phone is, but I had such a good time with this book. Oh my gosh. Now that I know the answers to the questions that we've been having the entire book, like it seems more obvious, but also like there was no way I would have figured that out. I had such a good time, and honestly I wasn't even like trying to figure out the mystery. I was just having such a good time just watching it unfold. It's so different than anything I've ever read. Now I really want to read more of Adrienne Young's books. Her writing was so good, and I don't know. I feel like it was just one of those cases of like right book, right time. I feel like sometimes there's books that I pick up that's like right book, wrong time, and like I would have really liked it, but it was just not the right time for me to read it. I feel like this was the case of like right book, right time. Like this is just exactly what I needed. It just gave everything that it needed to give. Now I am in the predicament of what I should read next. Like literally no idea. Like I was about to just like give you options of what I'm thinking, and I don't know. I have no idea what I'm gonna pick. I think I'm just gonna think on it and then get back to you guys. I'm probably gonna take a break from reading because, not like a break, but like not pick up a book right this second because I need to marinate in this one a little bit longer before I immediately hop into a different world. Yeah, I think for now I'm just gonna think on what I want to pick up next, and I will get back to you on that. I've been having the...
Whoa. Sorry. I'm lagging like crazy right now.
Dylan's playing video games right there. I've been having the hardest time picking out what I want to read next. I thought about it all night last night. This morning I've been thinking about it and I couldn't decide. But I think what we're gonna go with is Spark of the Everflame by Penn Cole. Honestly, I don't know that much about this series. I believe there's 3 books out. I don't know how many books are supposed to be in this series. Sounds like a really good, fun fantasy read. Also, Bestie Rachel just read this and she said she loved it and that she's predicting it to be a 5-star series for her. So I have very high hopes for this and we're just gonna see how it goes. I work at the bookstore today, so I'm gonna bring this with me and see if I can do a little bit of reading, and I will check back in with you guys.
Hey guys, welcome back to the vlog. It's Dylan here. Jane's gonna start reading a little bit and do a little cool little reading vlog for you. So I just want you guys to enjoy. And my besties.
I'm running late for work, but I wanted to give you a super quick reading update. I started reading on my Kindle because I realized they had Spark of the Everflame on Kindle Unlimited, and I haven't read on my Kindle in so long, and I love reading on my Kindle. It's just so nice. I'm on chapter 3, page 41 is what my Kindle says, and so far so good. I'm really enjoying it. I feel like it caught my attention right off the bat. I'm really liking it so far. I have a lot of questions. I'm very intrigued about the plot. It's got me interested in like their life and their magic system, what's going on. So that's all you can really ask for the beginning of a fantasy book. Nothing has been too confusing yet. I feel like I've been able to understand everything, all of the world building, so that's really nice. I have been really enjoying it so far, and I am very excited to come home from work and do some more reading today. But yeah, I guess you know it's kind of going good when I'm actually excited to like come home to read more. But yeah, I feel like it's going really good so far, and I feel like there's a lot of potential. Every once in a while, I remember that I have glasses that I'm supposed to be wearing, and I put them on, and all of a sudden, I can actually see again. It's a crazy thought, I know. Thank you. Dylan just brought me dinner. What a sweetheart. I am so close to the end, and things are getting so crazy. guys, it's the next day, and last night I finished Spark of the Everflame. And it was so good. I expect to actually like this book so much. I feel like we're approaching the end of February and I haven't really found a book that I've like thoroughly loved and enjoyed. Besides, what's the one I just read before this? Hello? The Unmaking of June Farrow. I really, really liked and enjoyed that one too. But besides those two, I haven't found a book that I like thoroughly was like, oh my gosh, I really liked that book. I loved this book. It was so good for a first book in the series. There's still so many unanswered questions when you end this book, which I honestly kind of love. And there's so much potential and so much more room for this series to go so many places, and I honestly have no idea where it's gonna go. I'm only one book in, guys, and I am obsessed. Okay, I have such a strong feeling that this could be like, I don't know if every book is going to be a 5 stars, but it could be a 5-star series. If you have been on the fence about picking this book up, this is your sign. I'm back. It's a little bit later, so let's go through the books that we read. If you don't know what this is, and if you've been living under a rock and you haven't heard about this series, this is the Empyrean series, and this is book number 3 that just came out. I don't even remember what I rated this. That's how quickly I wiped this book from my memory. Ooh. I ended up rating this a 2.75. I really tried to give it the benefit of the doubt. I had been seeing a lot of controversial opinions about whether or not people have been liking this book, and it was not my favorite. This was already not my favorite fantasy series of all time, so I was already going into it not being like a die-hard fan. And this one just really kind of turned me off of the series, and if it's another like 2 years before the next one comes out, I'm gonna forget everything, and I obviously don't love this series enough to reread it all, so I don't know, we'll see. Next, I read The Unmaking of June Farrow by Adrienne Young, and I ate this book up. This was unlike anything I've ever read. I ended up rating this one a 4.5 stars, and this was my highest rating of 2025 so far. That's saying something. I really, really enjoyed this and highly recommend anyone who's looking for that just magical, whimsical, cozy vibe that they just want to like read next to a fireplace. Just read it for the vibes. That's all I have to say. Now last, but very certainly not least, I read Spark of the Everflame by Penn Cole. I rated this one a whopping 4.75 stars. I was this close. I was this close to rating this a 5-star, but there were a couple parts, just because it's like a first book in a series where you're learning the world, learning the characters, things like that, that can get not boring, but just like tedious because you're learning a lot of information. So I feel like I couldn't quite give it that 5-star. Romance was so good, so slow burn. Honestly, you don't even get a whole ton of romance in this, but the moments that we did have, I was giggling, kicking my feet. I think it's supposed to be 4 books, and 3 books are out. So I have no idea when book 4 is coming out, but it better be coming out soon because I'm about to binge this whole series. So that wraps up our 3 books that we read. I feel like it was a pretty good mood read. So comment down below other book videos you want to see from me, other videos in general you want to see from me, and I will see you in the next one.